Hi, welcome to this calming practice. It's called Begin the Hours of This Day Slow. And that is a poem by Robert Frost. This yoga practice will start with a series of myofascial releases. We'll be rolling around slowly and on the ground for about 20 minutes or so. So if you notice, I have a blanket on top of my mat. You don't necessarily need a mat. Just make sure you're comfortable. And after the myofascial release practices, we'll be alternating for the rest of the practice between a couple long holds and then slow movements in between to feel the effects that the long holds have on our movement. And so in addition to any blanket, if you want to remain comfortable, want to be comfortable on your mat, feel free to put a blanket over top if you'd like, and then also have a strap and a block at the ready. And let's begin. So please lie on your back. And you're going to take your arms out to either side, so your arms are in a wingspan. So arms out to your sides with your feet flat on the floor, and so knees are bent, soles of feet down. And as you inhale, you're going to arch your back, take a deep breath into abdomen. So slow, deep breath into belly. And as you exhale, press your low back into the floor. So this is initiating some extension and flexion in our lumbar spine. Inhale, you squeeze the muscles of your back body and you breathe into your abdomen. Exhale, you press your low back into the floor and you can draw your navel down toward the floor as well. So go back and forth like this a few times. And during this slower movement, during this slower breath, the slower movements have the ability to get us deeper into movements, deeper into the portions of the breath we're focusing on. So not to strain, but deeper inhales, deeper exhales, and really investigate the range of motion in your low back. And keep on doing what you're doing with your lumbar spine. And we're going to add some rotation to our arms as well. So as you inhale, you're going to rotate your arms externally. That means rolling your palms back beyond your head and toward the floor, the more difficult way. Some of you may be able to palm the floor, some not, that's fine. And then as you exhale, as your tailbone goes forward, palm the floor the easy way and see if you can keep going by lifting your pinky fingers up off the floor. And go back and forth like this several times. And working with within the ranges that your shoulders give you, within the range that your lumbar spine gives you. Go back and forth like this a few more times. All right, very nice. One last deep breath in. And a long, slow exhale. And then allow your body to rest in a neutral position. Notice the after effects of those first movements in low back and shoulders. All right, very good. And then from here, hands next to hips, they'll remain there for the time being as we focus on bridge as your inhale pose. So you peel the spine up off the floor on inhale. Press your hips up toward the ceiling on inhale. And then lower one vertebrae at a time down to the floor. And go back and forth like this several times. So feel your feet firmly planted in the ground. Peel one vertebrae at a time. See if you can individuate the movements of the spine leaving the floor, peeling the spine off the floor like a sticker off a sheet of paper. And then laying them back down on your mat one by one, including the lumbar spine, which may mean you have to engage your navel a little bit and round your low back. So see if you can work on the fine detail of this move, inhaling as you lift, and exhaling as you lower. And if that work seems interesting enough to you, you can stay focused on that. If you'd like to incorporate some arm work, as you inhale, reach your palms up toward the ceiling, fingers up toward the ceiling, and then continue behind you. That's on in-breath, top of the inhale. Your hips lift, and then exhale, your arms return the arc they're making and land next to your hips at the same time. And you go back and forth like this a few times here. Last couple breaths, keep your face relaxed, jaw is soft. And enjoy the slowness of the practice. Enjoy the opportunity to decelerate a bit and become interested in physical sensations right now. As you exhale, lower to the floor. Notice the physical sensations as you rest for a moment. Okay, very nice. And then from here, you're going to take your right foot underneath your left leg, and you're going to hold that foot with your hand, dropping your knee forward. So if this feels okay for your knee, you can stay here. If you need a little bit of assistance with the strap, you can always take the strap around your right foot and hold it like this. Okay? So your right foot's underneath, your left hand holds your foot, take your right hand underneath your head. And from here, you're going to maximize the distance, stretch out from right elbow sliding back to right knee sliding forward. And you breathe into your right side. That's all on your inhale. And then as you exhale, relinquish your efforts. And repeat that as a vinyasa. So deep breath into your right. Exhale, you return to relaxation and go back and forth like this. Now the foot that you're holding, you can also flex that foot and press the heel out to the left. So the foot that you're holding with your left hand, press that heel to the left. And breathe into the stretch on your right. Breathe into underarm. Breathe into side ribs, along side waist and hip. Another couple times here. Okay, great. And take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, you can return to center with the soles of feet flat on the ground, knees bent. And notice the after effects on your right side. How does right hip feel, low back, shoulder? It might feel like your right side is a little more spacious because we just worked on it. And now let's explore the left side. Please take your left foot underneath your right leg. And you're going to hold that foot either with a strap or with your right hand. Make sure that the knee feels okay with this. Okay, if you need to unbend the knee a little bit, go ahead and use the strap. And take your left hand underneath your head. And every exhale, you're going to relax to this spot. And as you inhale, you're going to send your left elbow back. That basically results in a side flexion of the spine. And send your left knee forward to stretch the left side out. Breathe into it. And then exhale, relax your efforts. And repeat this several times. So you're breathing into your left side. Notice how your left side feels. Notice your breath interact with your stretch. enjoy the slow yet sort of like finely detailed work that we're doing here on our left side. You can enhance the stretch around hips and low back by pressing the foot that you're holding, press that heel over to the right. That winds up being a distal flexion of the ankle. So press the heel to the right. Breathe to the left. Mind the left. And do this another few breaths here. All right. Very nice. So take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, come back to center. Place both feet flat on the ground. All right, and so we first work front to back. We've worked side to side. So notice the side bodies. All right, very nice. The next move is probably one of the smallest we'll do. The feet stay where they are, so keep your feet planted on the ground. And as you inhale, you're going to press one knee forward. Drag one knee forward. The foot stays where it is. You'll feel your hip travel along with. That's your inhale. Exhale, relax your efforts. And you try that on the other side. So you press your other knee forward, like the kneecap is magnetized forward. Exhale, you recoil back to center. Go back and forth like this, several times per side. Just start waking up hip socket, SI joint through the low back. It's a bit of core line work. Inner leg through psoas, through lumbar spine. And it might feel like one movement is easier, has a grander range. So notice the feelings, the sensations. Go back and forth like this slowly and mindfully, thoughtfully, a couple more times per side. Okay, and once you're done pressing your second knee forward, relax back to center, pause there, deep inhale and exhale. Okay. Very nice. So let's add a twist. You're going to take your arms out to either side. Again, like we started with, the palms face up. And as you inhale, you're going to turn your head to the right, and your right arm's going to externally rotate. That's your in-breath. And then as you exhale, you come back to center, which is eyes up and the palms up. And you turn your head to the left. You rotate that arm externally. Deep breath in. Exhale, you come back to center. Palms up and eyes up. And we're going to go back and forth like this. Head to the right again. Turn your right arm externally, rotate it externally, and also drop your knees opposite your face. So now we're adding a twist. That's your in-breath. And then as you exhale, come back to center. And let's alternate between these sides several times. Turn your head to the left. Left arm's in external rotation. Knees opposite nose. Exhale, you come back to center. Go back and forth like this, especially if you are doing this in the morning. You might feel some clicks and pops around the spine as the mobility in your spine starts to wake up. So notice the stretch of the twist, stretch of the counter rotation of the neck. Back and forth like this another few times per side. And so I cued starting with the right, so you can cycle through until you're looking left. That's your in-breath. And then exhale, you come back to center. Pause in the middle, noticing the effects that the spiralic work had on your arms, torso, and spine. Take a deep breath in, inhale, and big exhale. All right, great. And then come up to seated. Right, and I will mirror you for this, for the next couple of poses. So this is my left leg, but since I'm mirroring you, take your right shin in front of your left. And you're going to slide your sitting bones back. And you start to reach forward. And you can plant your hands on either your legs, on the mat, or on the floor in front of you. And use your arms in order to relax your hips, your low back, your spine. So the idea here is to make this pose as yin as you can. So that means the pose does all the work. And so you soften down, and it's almost like you're hanging off your bones. So you're hanging off the connective tissue. I don't want you to feel like you have to pull yourself into it. The idea is to relax. Let the pose do a lot of the work, and take some slow, thoughtful inhales and exhales. See how the breath interacts with the pose. So we'll be here for another 45 seconds or so. We're doing this like 75 seconds aside. So for the next several breaths, relax your legs, relax through the spine. If it feels okay, you can relax your head. And the yin practice rewards patience, rewards slowing down. It just takes longer for the yin aspects of our practice to make themselves apparent. So if you are getting a big stretch right away, that's great. If you're not, keep relaxing, keep softening, and just pay attention to any sensations that come up. A couple more breaths here, and then we'll switch sides. All right, great. And then make your way back up. You can lean back a little bit, switch your legs. So now your left shin is in front of right. Slide your sitting bones back. Relax your torso, your heart, your head forward. Your arms compress into the floor if you need it in order to relax your legs, your hips, and your low back. So on this side, because your legs are laced a little bit differently, the experience might be a little bit different on this second side. Notice it, and as long as things don't feel painful, continue to relax your legs. Notice if there's any low-level tension in your body, and give that tension time to relax. So nothing has to happen right away in the yin practice. It just takes time, and we can enjoy the time spent in our slow practice here. Last 30 seconds. All right, very good. So come back up, and option number one is to repeat that again by taking your right shin in front of left and folding forward. If it's in your practice to take some type of gomukhasana, the cow face pose, in which you bring your thighs a little bit closer together, you may even stack your right knee on top of your left. As long as this is okay for your knees, you can bring your thighs closer together and make sure your feet are in okay position. Some people like it back a little further. Some people like their feet forward a little more. So just make sure the knees are okay with all of these options. You're going to slide your sitting bones back. And then again, forward fold. Okay, so it's a similar but different situation for your outer legs. Soften down. You can allow your body to breathe for you. Keep on relaxing legs, low back. And pause here for the next 45 seconds. So notice the pose now as compared to a minute ago when you first got into it. What has evolved, what has changed. And then notice the pose as we come out of it. You can lean backward a little bit to switch sides. So either left shin in front of right. You can bring your thighs a little closer together. You can bring them all the way together. So knees are close to stacked on top of one another. And again, feet closer in might make more sense for you. Feet forward might make more sense for you. You can always explore those. So be curious. Slide your sitting bones back. And then you're going to tilt forward. Hands go wherever they go. Hands can hold you up however you see fit. And as best you can, relax down into your cross-legged fold, whichever option you're doing. Relax your legs. And it's like you're hanging off of outer hips through your low back. Notice the slow evolution of your sensations in the body. As long as nothing is too intense or painful, continue relaxing and observing. Last couple of breaths here. All right. Very nice. So then you inhale, come up. You can lean back a little bit. You can take your feet together for a moment and slowly lift and descend your knees. Notice how the outer hips feel after those the first two yin poses. We'll be doing one more. That's pigeon. And so I'm going to stop mirroring you. We'll all take our right leg forward on this one. If you need a block or some support for your right leg, go ahead and place it under your right thigh and hip. The left leg can be out to the side, and this might be a pigeon that appeals to you for the stretch on the right side. The two options include lying more and more, lying your heart closer and closer to the ground, and extending your leg back. Those are independent events, but they're both options to make the pose more intense. Okay, so choose a level of intensity that works for you and that allows your legs to relax down. So I happen to be able to relax with my leg fully extended and my heart on the floor, but if there's some reticence in your body, which you'll feel as tension, right? Feel free to come out of it and make it less intense so you can really invite the pose in. And we'll be here for another 45 seconds. Okay, and then from there, you can press into the floor, make your way back up, and take your time to bring your left leg around. You can pause in a seat if you'd like, and notice the after effects of the pose on the first side. And then from there, we'll switch sides. So left leg forward, your right leg's going to go either out to the side. And if this is your pigeon on the left side, go ahead and take it. If you'd like to lean a little bit further forward and or take your back leg a little further back, you can. Okay, for pigeon on the other side, try your best to relax down, soften into the floor. It might take some time for the tension in your body to release. Give it time. Some body processes happen a little more slowly than others. And the yin practice is dedicated to that. For the decelerating aspects of our system. Relax as best you can. Soften down, soften in. There's another 45 seconds here. All right, very good. So from here, you're going to make your way back up. Press your hands into the floor. You can lean over to the left and bring your legs around. Come into a comfortable seat. Pause here. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. All right. And then lie back, and we're going to, after working on the outer hips, I want you to notice the freedom in outer legs as you either A, draw your knees into the chest on exhale, and B, press your feet into the floor on inhale. So you go back and forth like that between these two moves. That's option number one for the next few repetitions. And the options number two include, instead of drawing knees into chest, take happy baby pose, draw it in. And then press your feet into the floor. If you want to reach your arms back in bridge pose, you can do that too. So you go back and forth like this another few times. And yes, this is front to back movement. Let's see if the side bodies feel released, more relaxed. A couple more iterations of this vinyasa. Inhaling into bridge. Exhaling into knees in the chest or happy baby pose. Okay, very good. And then on your next exhale from there, you can release. Come back up to seated. And with the legs out in front, take a deep breath in. We're going to keep our right leg straight forward. The left foot's going to come into inner thigh. And if that feels like it's too much of a bend for your knees, anywhere on the leg is fine. But for a relaxed Janu Shirshasana, you're going to slide your sitting bones back. You lengthen your spine a little bit, or roll your navel toward the right side. And then from here, if it feels like you're going to fall back, you take your hands back and plant, and you lift your lungs. If it's available, you can lean forward, and I usually hold my leg in place so I can relax the leg fully, and then again drape my torso over my leg. The idea here is to get some yin stretch in the right hamstring, which you can hold the leg in place so that your knee is facing upward, your toes are facing upward. That maximizes the stretch in your hamstring. And then from there, soften down. So you soften into the pose. If you are used to pulling yourself in this pose, relaxing might actually bring you up a little bit because you're not adding an active tension. You're just relaxing into the passive tension in the back of your leg, through your low back. So try this for the next minute or so. Soften your leg, soften your hips. Let the breath be intuitive. And let the pose work on you. All right. Notice what it feels like after a minute and some change in Jana Shirshasana. And from there, take your time to press back up. You're going to lift your lungs lightly, extend your left leg forward. Right foot comes in either anywhere on the leg. I'm placing it on my thigh. All right. And then Jana Shirshasana on the other side. So the lengthening is a bit of a twist. And then you're going to fold down your left leg. And as you're folding down your left leg, you might notice that the leg wants to turn out. You can hold the leg still with your hands. Soften down your left leg. It might feel like you can't go down as far, or maybe you can go down a little further, since for most of us, the left leg feels a little bit different than the right. Soften down, soften in on this side. We'll spend another minute here, breathing intuitively, letting the pose do the work, as we watch what happens. All right. Very good. So one last breath here on the left side. And from there, you can make your way back up, noticing the after effects arriving up from our second side. Extend both legs forward. All right. Notice what the pose has given us in the area of sensations. Feelings along the legs, hips, low back. And from here, we're going to take the legs wide. And they don't have to be the widest. I'm going to change direction. You don't have to. Sometimes we take the legs as wide as possible for the inner legs. If we keep the legs partially wide, we still get some hamstring, and that's my idea of for this practice, to really get the hamstrings attended to. So wide but not too wide, like a forward fold. If it feels like you're falling back, your hands are behind you the whole time, and you're lifting your lungs. Okay, so this is an option. Option number one. If it does feel like you can round your back and your body weight relaxes forward, you soften your legs. You want to press the heels out initially and then let them soften. Do that. And then from there, you relax down, and we're going to be here for about 2.5 minutes. So just to give you some expectations, and make sure it's not too intense. This can be intense for a lot of people. The idea is the same as it has been with these poses. Relax your legs as much as you can. Relax your low back. Feel free to use your arms however you need to in order to relax your legs. So if you want to take your hands on your legs to keep your legs from moving, go ahead and do that. I'm going to bring mine to the inside. And then also soften your spine like you're hanging off your hips and your hamstrings. Okay, it will be 1:45 from here. So soften down, settle in. And if there's any temptation to rush things, acknowledge it. Many of us do feel to get things done more quickly is better. But some things can't be rushed. Let the pose do the work in its own time. All right, so notice what it feels like now after being here for a couple minutes. And then take your time, press your hands into the floor to come up. If your spine needs a little bit of a counter, you can take your hands behind you, extend the spine a little bit, arch your back, breathe into navel and lift your heart. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Okay, and then option number 2, Paschimottanasana. This can be your next pose as well. If you want to take your feet closer together, a little bit up to including together, go ahead. Maybe I'll choose, since I do this one fairly often, maybe I'll choose a slightly different angle for today, so I'm getting some variety. And I'm going to slide my sitting bones back, and the process is the same as it was in the wider version. With the legs at a slightly different angle, you might get a slightly different effect on the legs, the hips, and the low back. And we'll be here as well for about 2 minutes. Try your best to relax your legs. You don't have to get down to a certain spot. Just relax and let the pose work on you. All right. Very good. So you can take your time to come up from there. Notice the process of lifting up out of that pose. Hands can go behind you. You can arch your back a little bit, lift your lungs. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. All right, and you can gather legs. Come up to hands and knees. And option number 1 will be just alternating between cat and cow. Cat being the exhale, you press your mid back up toward the ceiling. And cow being extension of the spine, draw your shoulder blades up into the back and look up. You can go back and forth like this a couple times. And this is option number 1 if going from cobra to child's pose doesn't work. You stay here on hands and knees, undulating the spine through extension and flexion. If it makes sense for you to do it, on your exhale, you go back in through child's pose. And then on inhale, you slide forward and take a cobra. And go back and forth like this a few times. Of course, if this doesn't work, you go right back to cat-cow. But as you're alternating between these two states, do it slowly enough so you can feel what we've done in the hamstrings, through sacrum, through low back. What effect did those yin forward folds have on hamstring, sacrum, and lower spine? All right. Very good. And then from there, once you exhale, you're going to lie on the back. So pause here for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. Okay, in the next pose, we're going to add a twist. So we went lateral lines, we went back line. Now we're going to take a twist, and option number 1 is a supine twist, taking your right knee across, which means your left hand can hold your leg. This is option number 1. You stay here and let the pose work on you, let the twist do some work. If it makes sense to do it, you can bend your bottom leg and reach down with your right hand and take hold of the foot, much like we did in our myofascial release practice early on. And also, like that practice, if holding the foot is too intense, you can always use a strap to bridge the gap. And then from here, the foot that you're holding, you press that heel out to the right a little bit. So cat pulling its tail is the other option here. Okay, if that's too much for your bottom knee, you keep the leg straight and you can reach your right arm out to the right. So the legs, especially the bottom leg, might be doing a little bit of work. Of course, the arms are doing the work to keep your legs in place. But see if you can relax your abdomen. See if you can relax the muscles around your spine. We're softening here for the next minute. So you settle down, settle in. Not as activity, maybe a little bit of activity in the legs. The arms are doing a little bit of work. But abdomen, the muscles around your spine, they all relax and release. And let the pose do the work. All right, and 2 more breaths here. Notice how it feels to soften into a twist. What has been happening around hips and spine. And also notice it as you come back to center. Notice the unwinding, the uncurling, enjoy coming back into middle. Okay. Very nice, and we'll try that on the other side, so please you can shift your hips to the left a little bit. Option number 1, you take your knee over, and that's it. Your right hand can hold your leg. Enjoy this for a while. If it makes sense to do it, you can bend your bottom knee and either with the strap or with your left hand, bridge the gap. Make sure all the joints are okay, particularly sacrum and bottom knee. So, if it's too intense for a joint, go ahead and modify. All right, if it feels okay to hold the foot with the strap or with your hand, the foot you're holding, you press that heel to the left a little bit, much like we did early on in our myofascial release segment. Okay, so there might be some activity in legs, there might be some activity in arms. Let your low back relax, the muscles around abdomen unlace and soften. And let the pose work on your spine and rib basket. So ribs are soft, lungs are heavy. We'll pause here for another 90 seconds. Allow the pose to work on you. All right, take a deep breath in here. And then exhale from there, relax back to center. And notice what it feels like to unfurl back into a relaxed supine pose. Notice the after effects on the pose. How is the length of time, the time dedicated to these poses? How has it felt for your system? Take a breath or two here. All right, great. And then we're going to take supine Padangusthasana 3, Supta Pada 3. The option number one, if the hamstrings have had enough, is to take a twist again, a supine twist. Supta Pada 3, I'm going to take the strap in my right, strap around my right foot, take my right foot over to the opposite side, and extend both legs. So this is the straight-legged option is Supta Pada 3. So my right leg is pressing over, my left leg is going to be straight, and then from here, I add the twist by sliding my shoulder blades underneath me to the left. Okay, and so it's almost like a culmination of everything that we've been working on. For some people, this is some lateral line work in the top hip. For some people, this is very much hamstring work on the right side. And perhaps some people feel this is more of a twist or a heart opener. So kind of depending on who you are and what feels a bit restricted, what feels very open. This pose means different things to different people, but let the pose work on you. There is some activity in the legs to keep the legs straight. Of course, there's activity in your left arm that's holding the strap. But allow your torso to relax, allow your head to relax. And with no strain, let the pose work on you. And we'll be here for another like 90 seconds or so. Okay, so one last inhale and exhale here. Notice how the pose feels now as in contrast to 2 minutes ago. All right, and then from there you release, unwind back to center. Pause in the midline. Let the midline soften down. Notice the after effects of our first side. All right, great. And then we'll take Supta Pada 3 on the other side. So you can scoot your hips over a little bit. Straps around your left foot. And you're going to take this, it's a straight-legged twist. So you press your left heel to the opposite side. Right heel presses forward. And of course, this is already option number 2. If you were doing option number 1, just the bent knee twist, go ahead and take that. Your left knee comes across. Okay, so this is option number 2 is the straight-legged twist. So both legs are gently engaged. To facilitate the twist, slide your shoulder blades underneath you to the right. Legs are gently extending. And again, this is in some sense the apex pose, the three things we've been working on: outer leg line, outer hips, outer thighs might be a component of your experience. Hamstring, left hamstrings might be a component, and the effects of the twist might be a component. And whatever's going on, as long as it's not too intense or painful, let the pose do the work. There's a little bit of work in arms, a little bit of work in legs, but let the pose and some time do the work for you. You're here with your head relaxed, brain heavy, noticing what you can notice. And we'll be here for the next 90 seconds. All right, and notice the pose now as compared to about 2 minutes ago when we got in. Okay, great, and release out of that. Come back in to the midline, reference midline, in a relaxed pose here. Pause, enjoy, and notice. All right, great. And then at the end of your next exhale, you can search for your block, grab your block, and at any height that works for you, I'll demonstrate with mid-level, but you can go higher or lower. We're going to take a bridge pose. And so this gets a chance, it's a slight inversion of abdomen. So it's a really good way to decompress lower abdomen. And you kind of stay here for the next minute or two, or if you'd like, you can alternate between dropping knees inward and dropping knees outward. So as for most of yin yoga, there's no hard and fast rules on this. If taking the knees out in Baddha Konasana feels like the perfect thing, the perfect way to end this before final relaxation, you can go ahead and stay here. If a neutral bridge feels okay, if you want to do one knee at a time inward, you can do that. But somewhere between knees dropping in and knees dropping out. Pause here. Notice how hips feel, notice how low back feels. And relax your abdomen and let this gentle inversion work on your torso. right. Very nice. And from here, place your feet flat on the floor. Engage your glutes a little bit to support your sacrum as you lift your hips. Block comes out of the way. You can lower your hips toward to the floor. And from there, extend your legs forward into a final relaxation. So you soften down and soften into your Shavasana, soften into your final relaxation. And notice the after effects of the time you've spent practicing. How has this practice worked for you? What can you sense now that maybe wasn't obvious before? And for your final relaxation, you can stay with this physical self-study, the energetic self-study of your body. The name of this practice is a line from a Robert Frost poem. And I will read the first half for you. O hushed October, morning mild, thy leaves have ripened to the fall. Tomorrow's wind, if it be wild, should waste them all. The crows above the forest call. Tomorrow they may form and go. O hushed October, morning mild, begin the hours of this day slow. O hushed October, morning mild, begin the hours of this day slow. Okay. Great. So from here, tap into your breathing. Take some slightly deeper inhales, some slightly deeper exhales. And from here, as if waking up again in the morning, take some intuitive stretches, arms any which way. You can wiggle on the floor a little back and forth, move your legs around to intuitively tap into the movement of your limbs, movement of your spine. And after those intuitive movements, you can roll over onto one side. Pause on your side for a moment, take a deep breath. All right, and then from here, rise back up into a comfortable seated position. Legs crossed or otherwise. And how does it feel to have intentionally decelerated for a while. I hope as it feels calming, restful, like you can continue your day, whatever part of the day this is, from a more solid still point, and that you don't feel rushed for anything. So thank you for your practice, and take care. Namaste.